Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Lowcountry Conversation's been on hiatus for a little bit, not by no fault of my own. I'm excited. I've got Trey and Sarah in from Glass Express. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for having us.
I know you're a little bit nervous. It's okay. I'm nervous too. I get nervous every time. My hands are probably sweaty right now. So, full disclosure, you are a client of ours since what month did we start?
May? April? April, I think.
Yeah, it's been just a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months.
2 months.
We're happy with the results that we're getting. You guys are.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Very happy. Especially with our last video that went out.
Yes. Yeah. So, real quick, head to Glass Express, pause this, go look at that last video. So, you guys do automotive repair, no home.
No home. No commercial.
No commercial.
It's anything with that floats or rolls. So, anything that floats or rolls, we can put glass in.
I like that. Floats or rolls. So one thing, we had a conversation before, once we started, because I have to learn. For us, the challenge is learning the business, especially if we're not into it or if I don't have a lot of knowledge about said business. So we'd had a conversation in the beginning, learning about the customer's rights of choice when they have glass repair.
Correct.
Explain to the folks at home what that choice means to them. So say, okay, I get a crack in my front windshield. We're in South Carolina, so that means I get a free replacement.
So it's a common misconception that you get. A lot of people talk about a rumor that's you get one free windshield a year. So South Carolina is a zero deductible state where they waive your deductible for glass damage, but you do have to have full coverage and comprehensive.
Yep.
You also have the right to choose your shop. So most people don't know is that the insurance companies don't file those claims for you. When you call the number on your card or you go to your app to file your claim, you're automatically, directed to a third-party administrator. And they're the ones that facilitate the claim. They facilitate the referrals to the shop that you choose, and they facilitate the payments. So when you're filing your claim and you're talking to whoever answers, it's the third party. It's not actually your insurance.
That's when you told me that, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because to me, it sounds a little deceiving, a little tomfoolery going on.
A little bit. I mean, they have their scripts where they say it, but if you pay attention, some of them will give you a recommendation on who you should choose. Some of them, which they shouldn't, say that they use certain providers. But you get the right to choose. We personally are a network shop. A lot of, individual owners are not network participants, but we are a network participant for all the insurance companies.
Okay. We
work with individual ones that are not network insurance companies, and we can work with them and bill them directly. And so, it's a little bit of a process, but we try to make it as easy as possible for the customer.
So our goal has been to educate the consumer that they have a choice. They don't have to go with the national brand that's out there, and they can shop local, use a local shop.
Absolutely.
And you guys do remote, so you'll go to somebody's location, say, Trey, I'm at work today, I'm stuck here all day, I've got a windshield needs to be replaced, or I've got a side window that needs to be done. You'll go to their location.
Yeah. It all depends on the vehicle.
Okay.
So most of your foreign vehicles, if they have advanced safety features on them, they require what we call a static recalibration. So we have to set up targets and be able to do it in-house in our shop in a controlled environment. And so those, as far as windshields, need to be done in-house. But most of your domestic vehicles or door glasses or back glasses, all of it can be handled mobily.
Yeah.
And we can come out to your location and do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty interesting seeing the recalibration process from the outside looking in, because I'm a novice to all this. I don't understand the science behind it, but it's really interesting to see that. And it's a necessity. You have to have it.
You have to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it's going to throw warnings, and you're like you were talking the other day. The steering is going to be off if it thinks you're going this way. If it's off.
Well, and it's not so much. It's like it's you have to do it, but it's not so much necessarily for the warning lights that may come on, but rather the
safety.
How the safety of the vehicle. If the camera on that windshield doesn't know where it's supposed to be looking, then it can steer you into the other lane in oncoming traffic. It cannot predict a vehicle or say it's analyzing the vehicle in front of you that slams on brakes and it thinks you're closer to it than, or farther away from it than what you are, and you rear end them.
Yeah.
You hit them. And then it's all because your safety features did not function properly, but because whoever worked on the vehicle didn't recalibrate these safety features.
And per the manufacturer specifications, once a windshield is removed and reinstalled, and you have to remove the camera from one windshield to the other, it is required that the camera be recalibrated. It's,
And that's a manufacturer position statement from every manufacturer.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, if the camera's off, a millimeter, and you miss by an inch, you miss by a mile.
Yeah.
So a millimeter here isn't too bad, but you get 3 car lengths in front of you.
Right.
That makes a big difference.
does,
And
huge.
if you have an active system where, a lot of the vehicles now have like lane keep assist, where if you veer out of your lane, it'll auto correct for you and it'll start steering you back in.
Yep.
But if your camera's reading that the lines are here, but the lines are here, and you're driving straight, it's reading that you're out of the line.
Yeah.
And it's going to start correcting for you. And that's dangerous business
Yeah,
for not
like
only
that.
yourself and the vehicle, but all of the vehicles around you.
Well, and that's just vehicles that correct for you. That doesn't include vehicles that actually will self-drive.
Right.
It's even more important when you got a vehicle that will self-drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It has to know where it's at in the road.
Yeah, and as we just get in the car, we turn it on, and we know these buttons that we push, and we're expected to do what it's got to do. But there's the how is because of what you guys do.
Yes.
When you're doing a
Absolutely.
replacement. So how long has Glass Express been in business?
Glass Express has been in business since 2003. It was incorporated in 2004.
Okay.
And then we took over. We just talked about it the other
We,
day. It was 2020, I think.
The end of 2019.
Yeah,
So we
2019.
merged with
Ooh.
them in 2016.
Okay.
They sought us out. We had a company in Georgia, and they sought us out. We merged with them and bought them out, and they retired. And so it's been he and I running
Yeah.
it up to this point.
Were you affected by COVID?
Oh,
Yes.
Really?
dramatically.
Yeah. Even though you wouldn't think that, because we're an insurance state. Primarily, the majority of the work that we do is insurance related. You wouldn't think it would have necessarily affect us, but I think the biggest problem we had is so many people were not driving because they were at home.
Right.
So all of the damage that would typically be associated with automotive glass repair was just traffic was lighter. So
Yeah.
nobody was driving,
Wow.
stuff wasn't
We-
getting broken, and
We were fortunate that we, didn't have to deal with any of the, shutdowns and things like that.
Yeah.
We were under the scope of essential.
Yeah.
So we were able to keep our doors open and continue business as usual. It did slow down.
A lot.
And then, the following
think it
year,
was-
it just kind of took off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, we haven't stopped running since.
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's the favorite thing? What do you enjoy doing most? What's the most fun for you at Glass Express?
I'm gonna let you answer this one first.
Oh,
I gotta think about this for
Fun?
a second.
Yeah. What do you enjoy most? What's the most?
honestly, what I have a customer right now, actually, and it's one of my favorite things about this job. So there's a lot of people. The older these cars get, the more written off they get. And I have a customer right now that we assisted that every other company just basically washed their hands over.
Oh, wow.
She drove a 91 Acura Legend.
Oh.
You don't see those.
Yeah.
There's no glass for it.
Wow.
It's a discontinued part. And the insurance company just really gave her a hard time. And I fought for her with the insurance company. I had to get them. I tracked down this part. I called every resource that I had, found this part in California, and the insurance companies, they dictate the rates that we charge them and things like that. But this particular part coming out of California didn't fit the mold of what like a typical aftermarket part would be, because a specific company bought them all and they created the supply and the demand. So I was able to get the part. I had to get approvals from the insurance company, which I did. They didn't have much of a choice because she had the coverage and that's what's available.
Right.
And she was a lot. I mean, she had to be. I think she said she was like 87.
Oh, wow.
And she was in tears on the phone because everyone had wrote it off, and she was like, "I know you're going to do what you say you're going to do." And I did, and it took me about 6 weeks to get this part,
Wow.
unfortunately, but we got it. We're getting ready to go install it for her here within the next week, and the emotions that came from her, because just no one was willing to help her.
Yeah, for sure.
And we were, and that's my favorite part, is going above and beyond for people that just have a bad experience somewhere else, and when they come to us, they don't have a bad experience. They We go the extra mile to make sure that they're taken care of and they're safely on the road, because most people don't realize how important that windshield is as a safety feature
Oh, yeah, 100%.
of your vehicle.
Yeah. And we take it
Trey
for
can talk
granted.
more to that as a technician and doing all of the installs.
Yeah.
We take it for granted that every piece of glass in our vehicle is going to be available, regardless of the year, make, or model of the car.
It's your
I
main
don't think about that it goes out.
Well, with certain manufacturers, you run into 10 years and the OEM manufacturer quits manufacturing
Wow.
glass.
Okay.
So you're left with aftermarket.
Yeah.
And soon, depending on the vehicle, if it was a vehicle that didn't have a ton of vehicles in that run,
Yeah.
in that make,
Yeah,
then
yeah, for sure.
you just might not have anything available for it.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I mean, the glass can almost total the car if you can't.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
Which
can't
is
fix
insane
it,
to think
you
about
know?
it. Yeah.
And for for the safety feature of it and what it does to the structural integrity of your car.
Yeah.
Not only that, what it does for your like we had the instructional video the other day about a bond failure, which is a very common thing that we see with windshield installations. When we remove, you don't see it until you remove it. You don't know
Exactly.
it's there until
Yeah.
it's removed. If there's a bond failure and that windshield is loose, we've seen windshields you could put your hand on and push it out.
Oh yeah,
So-
we've had vehicles come in that literally you could just push the windshield out of the hole.
Wow.
And explain the airbag.
All right, so in most passenger vehicles, and even most SUVs and trucks nowadays, when your passenger side airbag, the way it's designed to work is that it deploys out of the dash into the windshield, out of the top of the dash into the windshield, and deflects back towards the passenger of the car. So it is crucial that windshield have a proper bond to the car or the vehicle, because if not, the airbag, it's going to hit it at 150 mile an hour when it deploys, and it's just going to blow the windshield out of the hole. And then the airbag is going to go straight out of the hole where the windshield come out of, and it's going to serve no purpose to the passenger in the vehicle.
Right.
It is a crucial safety feature. It must retain its strength when impacted by an airbag.
That's insane.
And then you've got other vehicles, anything that's not a full chassis vehicle, so anything that's not a pickup truck or a full-size SUV or a van. The windshield makes up for, I think it's up to 60%, 40 to 60% of the structural integrity of the car.
Wow.
So, but these unibody cars that are not on full frames, you can pull the windshield out of the car and jack up with like a floor jack one corner of the vehicle, and the car will actually flex to the point that it pins the doors shut. It'll Coke can the car. We call it Coke cannon. So basically, you can grab a Coke can from both ends and twist it, and it crinkles.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these cars will do that. If you don't have a windshield and it doesn't have a proper bond, you flex it real hard.
Yeah.
Driving through maybe a small ditch or
Yeah.
something, and it'll just ruin the car. It'll total the car out.
That's interesting.
It's crazy to think about.
And
Is there a year that started sooner? Obviously, manufacturers, I'm sure, are trying to save costs, so the materials are lighter and different. Was it after, you say 80s or 90s?
80s, yeah, probably 80s. It probably even went farther back in the 60s and the 70s with certain vehicles. I remember, I think
Dodges.
Cadillac started running front-wheel drive vehicles all the way back as far as like 65. And most of the time, those big body cars, when they started going to front-wheel drive type vehicles, they weren't full chassis vehicles.
Wow.
But Ford Mustangs were that way for as far back as I can remember. They've been unibody cars.
Wow.
And so they weren't full frames.
Yeah, that's
Jeep,
interesting.
Jeep, even like Jeep Cherokees,
Yeah.
Jeep Cherokee and Jeep Grand Cherokee back into the 80s was a unibody, vehicle. And even with the windshield in the hole, you could get that thing in a bind to where one corner was higher than the other corner, and it'll pin the door shut.
Wow.
It's real common for off-road guys to use frame stiffeners on those because they
I can see
flex
that.
so much, and
Yeah.
it'll just pin every door shut on
Yeah,
it.
that makes sense.
A lot of people don't also realize about how important it is for the proper installation of a windshield, and what other things can go wrong when you have an improperly installed windshield. I mean, we've gotten windshields out where you all of a sudden, and it's only vehicle's only maybe like 3-4 years old, and you can see once the windshield's out the rust damage that's occurred under the windshield.
Because of a bad install. So somebody, whenever they're pulling the windshield out, before, and they get under there and they scratch all kinds of paint up, and then you've got bare metal exposed to elements underneath the windshield. And even though it's not visible, doesn't mean it's not there.
Right.
So all of that's going to start to corrode and rust. And then, we've seen vehicles that are 5 years old with rust holes in them.
Wow.
That because of bad installations. Somebody come in and scratch a vehicle all up, and customers none the wiser. You can't see it.
Yeah.
So it's not until 4 or 5 years later, you got a rust hole, you got water coming in your vehicle, you take it somewhere and you realize, hey, I got to go to a body shop and get $5,000 worth of repairs done because whoever did my windshield last carved my vehicle up. Now I've got rust holes in it.
We just had a customer we installed a windshield for, and she called and gave me her story with an experience with another auto glass installer, and she had told me about a bad install, and she told me about the rust, and I was like, oh well, depending on how bad that is, you may have to get that fixed before we can do anything. She's like, oh no, I've already fixed all of it. I just want it done right this time. So we did the install for her, and I'm sure she paid a fortune. And it's it was like a Chevy Express van, which I imagine was probably a work vehicle for them or for her family. Yeah. And they're out all of that money in repairs because of a bad install. Wow.
Yeah,
so
it's tough because we put our trust into people that are working on our vehicles and our bodies, and we just trust a lot of people to make sure they're doing the right decision. Yeah. Doesn't always get done that way, and I think that's one benefit for small business owners because we have a lot riding on this.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
The stakes are much higher.
They are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. 100%. So, were you guys located for the folks at home?
We are at 820 Paris Island Gateway, Suite F, like Foxtrot, because that might sound like an S over there. So 820 Paris Island Gateway, Suite F, and that's Beaufort, South Carolina 29906.
Okay.
You can walk in for a quote, we can do quotes over the phone. We can help you set up your claims with a simple conference call, or we can walk you through the app if you have the app for your insurance and walk you through the process of setting up your claim that way. It's probably going to be your best bet just to navigate the headache that is setting up a claim with the insurance.
Yeah, we would prefer it that way because what we run into is because the third party administrator where you're going to set your claim up is directly owned by our largest competitor, and they're going to do everything in their power to steer you back to themselves, even if they have to lie, they have to cheat. They're going to do everything they can to bully you into using their company because they have direct financial benefit. Yeah. Yep. So they'll make it sound as if you do not have rights to choose who you would like to use. Yeah. And they will just if you don't stand your ground, they will run you over and send you to where they want you to go. And
if you choose someone else, they also throw things out there, and I've heard this verbiage myself, where it's like, oh, well, if you choose this shop, you're responsible to making sure they've agreed to the rates. If you have this work done before it's approved with the insurance company, you may be responsible, and the insurance company may not reimburse you for it.
Scare tactic.
Even though the very beginning of the call, they have confirmed their coverage and confirmed they had a zero deductible. Yeah. So it doesn't matter where you go. Yeah. You could go, if you're traveling, you go out of town, you find a mom and pop shop, and you go and have a windshield replaced. You take the invoice to the insurance company, and they'll reimburse you for it. Wow. So they, but when you're filing the claim process itself, it's can be a little aggressive. But we found we've tried to simplify it and make it as easy for the customer as possible.
I know because we've had I had a passenger replacement done with you guys within the last couple weeks. Easy as pie. I mean, I can't recommend these guys enough.
Smooth.
Anything else you guys want to touch on that we haven't talked about? You think somebody would want to know?
Yeah, for certain. So if you need to have a windshield replacement, we always encourage everybody to use local because these multinational chains do not have your best interest. It's you're a number to them. You don't matter. They don't care about your car. They're just looking to turn and burn, get the work done, and get paid for it. Turn and burn. I would urge everyone, if you're selecting a glass shop, go read the reviews.
Absolutely.
Do your research. Make a decision based off of who has the best reviews in town. It will open your eyes very quickly to what kind of business you may potentially be dealing with just based off of a quick review search. Absolutely. It will open your eyes, and you'll be able to hopefully make a good decision.
Yeah, reviews are worth their weight when it comes to small business owners.
Oh, yeah.
And how they respond to that review. If it's a negative review, is a big thing. So yeah, take it from these guys, Glass Express. I appreciate y'all coming in.
Thanks,
We
sir.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.